Welcome, this is where nerds come to learn things. If it's your first time here, click on the subscribe button and on the bell icon to get notifications about new videos. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoy it. Right, so right here is a DVR which I've been using for, well, quite a few years now actually, and it appears to have died. Now when I power it up it should beep after several seconds of initializing. Let's try it again. So we have power light on there, just here. I can hear the hard drive clicking, but there's no hard drive indicator on here, which is not a good sign. And when I've tried this previously it hasn't beeped, and it does normally beep when it starts up. So I'm thinking that there's an issue with either the internal power supply or the main logic board. This is quite an old version, you know, it's an old analog one, you know. So I thought, well, if it doesn't go, I'll pull it apart and we'll have a look inside and see if we can see anything obvious what's going on. It may be bugs in there because it does have ventilation holes, and maybe something's crawled in there and shorted something out. This is normally tucked away out of the waste, you know, in an inaccessible spot. So, no beep. So she's dead. Right, I'll pull the cover off and I'll come back. I've got the screws out. Let's have a look. Get the cover off. Come on, let it come out. It's a stubborn cover, isn't it? There we go. Right. Well, no bugs. There's nothing obvious. I do notice that the fan isn't spinning. That's probably not a good sign. Oh, maybe it's because it's not plugged into anything. Okay. Maybe didn't need it. That is not warm at all. Hard drive is doing nothing. Let's unplug this and we'll power it up again, see if it beeps. In case there's a hard drive dragging supplies down or something like that. It's also got that one there. So it's all integrated onto this. There's 12 volt supply in. And it's all just in there, so there's not a lot to it. As far as diagnosing it, could be interesting. Those caps look okay. That cap there looks okay. So there's nothing immediately obvious. Still no beep. So let's kill the power to the drive completely by unplugging this. If I get it unplugged. In case it is loading down the power supply. So it also has a backup battery on here. So what's happening is there was no remote viewing. Remote viewing was failed. So if I tried to access it remotely from my network, there was no response. The monitor which is plugged into it also had no picture or anything on it. It's like the unit wasn't powered up. And so I've obviously unplugged the hard drive and that's eliminated that part from the circuit, but so far still no beep. So I'm guessing it's some kind of power supply problem or something along those lines. I've had it for a while. Does it have a date on there? The drive came with it. Does the drive have a date on it? 2011, so that's 7 years old. That drive is. So it's probably about the same age. So yeah, I think it's probably about 7 years old. But yeah, no beep. This is definitely not working. So what to do? Something's wrong with it. I just don't know what yet. It's kind of annoying, really. So what I can probably do is just take this actual board out of the unit. Hopefully I can do that. It's I'll come back after I pull it out. So, well, I'll unplug some of these cables. This cable here is for video, I think. Yes, that's the video cable. This is the alarm monitoring cable. There's the video inputs from the various connectors on the back, video and audio. This is front panel controls, and this one still attaches the power switch. So this one here is the alarms, so I just want to unplug this and get rid of that. Now the purple wire's top right corner, so I don't forget that. Now, there's nothing obvious, there's a little bit of dust on there. I don't see any actual problems. I'm going to say the power indicator came on the front panel, so there's probably some pins on here somewhere which will be power, but there's no markings on there. So I should probably just power it up and see if there's any voltages across here properly, see if they're all there, because it should be 5 volt, 12 volt on that connector there. So we'll try that first, but I mean visually there's nothing too obvious. What's that thing there? It looks suspiciously like a regulator, but it could be a MOSFET. Can't tell. There's a crystal there. I suppose I can try and check that crystal frequency, and this one here as well. Side view of the caps. Yeah, they look alright. Some unknown brand, I don't know what they are. And yeah, none of the caps seem to have extruded. I mean, sometimes when they blow, the top might be okay, but the actual casing extrudes off the bottom. But that's not happened. So we'll plug power in again, and with nothing else connected, and we'll see if it beeps. I mean, there's a little buzzer there. So that has power, I think. There's no indicators on it. There's no indicators at all on that board, actually. It's interesting. I thought it had some power indicators on there somewhere. There's also another little crystal over here too. Must be real-time clock or something on there. I'm not seeing any LEDs on there. I thought it'd be an LED indicator so it's got power. Because it is as though this part is dead, that's what it's acting like. There's only that power indicator over there, which comes on my, plug that one in, right there. So there's power to that part of the board, but that's only come out when this is plugged in. That's interesting. That wasn't up before. See that? It's gone again. That's interesting. Is it because it's trying to get a signal via somewhere else because it's got an issue, which something's got an open circuit? Right, let's get some probes going here and we'll see what we find. I'll get a multimeter out and we'll come back. I don't know what the pin outers on these things. I don't remember which pins are which. There's a 7-foot connector, which I now have lost. Alright, 4 wires. Yeah, okay, I don't remember. Let's have a look anyway. So that is 0 volts. That is 0 volts. And that is 12 volts. I'm pretty sure it should be 5 volts on there somewhere. Okay, let's just reorientate things a little bit so I can plug this cable in. I'll retest. So now I've got that red indicator over here with that cable plugged in. Just test it from there, shall we? I should be able to get 12 on here again. Yep. Nothing. Nothing. 5 volts. Why is it reliant on that cable there? That's interesting. I wonder if there's a 5 volt supply failure somewhere on this board. It certainly is possible. Got this battery here, I suppose I can check that too, can I? 2.8, a little bit low, but not dead. I don't know, I'm not quite sure where to proceed with this actually, because I need to determine what's going on there. I'm surprised about this cable being plugged in to get to 5 volts. I'm really surprised by that. There's obviously 5 volts on one side of that connector. I'll zoom this out again so see what I'm doing. So on the back panel there somewhere. It must loop back. Why would they do that? Is it passing 5 volts through an LED? Surprised it loops back. That isn't what I'd expect to happen. So there could be dual regulators or something on there, dual supply, and maybe one of the supplies is faulty. There's an LED down there. There's a mark in the LED too, and I can see an LED just there, which isn't lighting up. What are these 3-pin devices we've got over here? Don't know what that is. Can't see. Well, I can see the marking, but I can't see what it actually is. I might have to look up some of these parts trying to determine what's going on there, but well, I could just follow a 12 volt line in. Maybe I'll just do that. I'll just do tracing. So it goes through those pins, back into this part of the board here. There's a poly switch, but it must be passing some power through because the driver is powering up, so that must be getting through that poly fuse. And then there's a smoothing cap there, 25 volt cap, which goes straight to the 12 volt supply right there. So yep, that's why I'm getting the voltage on that point definitely all the time, because it's straight off the main supply coming in. And yep, third pin down is definitely ground because I can see the trace is just there. And it's going down to these caps and to these devices here. So these must be switch mode regulators of some kind, because all 3 of them are got the same connection coming down for 12 volts. It's also 12 volts coming across over here, and that says 78L05. Okay, so I found the first 5 volt regulator right there. Okay, so there's one of them there. So it may be one of the switch mode power supplies has failed. Yeah, I'll try and get it a bit zoomed in so you can see what I'm talking about. Alright, so there's a 78L05 there, or 78L05, and these are all switch modes. You can see the trace coming down there onto that. Is it pin 2, is it? I think it might be pin 2. I think I can see a dot at the top left corner, the top right corner, sorry. Yep, so it's pin 2. It's got the main supply coming in. And you've got the inductors on the back there and smoothing caps. So those must be power supply sections. It's a bit of shaky camera work. So what I should do is probably power this up again and check to see what's going on with these. And that regulator just there. That regulator output goes down to that pin 3 of that socket just there. You see it traces down to that one. Might be able to see the trace. So, and that little smoothing cap there as well. Obviously it feeds back again to turn the LED on, which is over here. So LED, I'm trying to trace out. Can't really see. Maybe if I zoom the camera and see if I can look it through the camera. Come on, focus. So the LED is right there. You see where it goes? Not really. Trying to get the light on it's not easy. Anyway. So I'm going to check these power supplies. It could just be one of those as bad. It could be a bad cap, even though they look physically okay. Could be a bad cap, and could be one of these regulators. Switch mode supplies here is not working, so I'll try that first, and see if we can find anything obvious from that. I'm not quite sure what the outputs are from those though. Trying to read through it. I see some traces here coming through. That's one side. Might have to probe around and see what I can find, but it must have a feedback on there. I'm suspecting those will be the outputs from the MOSFET drivers here, and obviously that's what they are. But there must be a feedback from one of those pins somewhere, which I'm just trying to see if I can see where they are. But I suppose I could always just test on these capacitors, because these capacitors must be smoothing. So I suppose I could just test across those and see if I can see anything that makes sense. So, right. Plan. We have a plan. Okay, let's plug power back into this and plug it into the main power switch so we can get power onto the board. Turn the main power switch on and start probing around these capacitors first. And that regulator over here, so we'll just use the common ground here. Should be common ground. And will make it a bit easier for you to see, hopefully. Right, so that should, I'm expecting it working fine. Yep, there you go, 5.1 volts there. So I've got these capacitors here. Nothing on that side. Nothing on that side. Or that one. They may not be common grounded, they might be isolated from ground, so I need to not assume that they're bad from testing like this. There's nothing on any of those. Let's test across them. Nothing here as well. So, are these regulators not running? I might have to look at the specs for these things to try and determine what's going on there. So I'll try and probe there. There's the 12 volt input. So there's definitely nothing happening on these switch mode regulators. Okay, well let's plug this cable here in, because I don't think that turns the LED on over there, and we'll retest. Let's plug right in. Now I've got the LED on over there. Let's see if that's changed anything. Common ground again, and test them all again. Nothing. Oh, got 1 volt on that one. Nothing, and 3.3 volts. That looks normal. Nothing, and 5 volts. So it's interesting, it seems to have require that cable we plugged in in order to generate these voltages. And another 5 volts there. So there's 2 5 volt rails, 1 volt rail, and there's 3.3 volt. Well, those look normal. So I can't really fault that. Right, well. There's still no beep anyway. So let's just look at this part over here. And we'll, that part right there, see if I can find anything from that. Well, let's do some random testing. I've got no idea what I'm actually checking here. 3.3 volts, 1.8, nothing, nothing. Not sure what that's doing. So there's some crystals around which I can probe. I'll get the scope turned on. Actually, it's an opportunity to use a new scope. We'll do that. Okay, so I've got the new Keysight scope up and running. I haven't actually used it for any troubleshooting yet. I've not actually been doing any troubleshooting work really recently. So we'll see what we get. Obviously you can't see this unfortunately, but it's honestly, take my word for it, it is working. But there's a signal there. I just can't see what it is yet. And there's got nothing. And there's got nothing. So that's interesting. Try again. wasn't on 10 times, and well, probably wouldn't help. Well, maybe there is a signal there. I just need to get this triggering set up right. I'll be right back. Okay, I've corrected the trigger issue. I had it set on channel 2 to channel 1. Right. So this crystal here, that is measuring 25 megahertz. This crystal here is measuring 24 megahertz. Yeah, those both measure correctly. There's also this little crystal over here, which I can hopefully measure. Hopefully. We shall see. I'm not getting anything off it yet. Oh, there we go. Right. And that is measuring about 32 point something kilohertz. So those crystals are working. So that rules those out. Well, I'm running out of options. Power does come on, at least on those. It appears to be correct. Crystals are running. It's not looking good. Okay, well, let's just do some probing around on the caps and see if we can see anything on there. See if it's a bit noisy or something like that. It's possible, isn't it? Okay. Get these levels a bit right. That looks okay. That one looks okay. That looks alright. And that one also looks alright. So I can see some pulses in there like you get from switch mode, but that's normal. 5-volt regulator there. That's also looking okay. So I'm not seeing anything obvious, which is disappointing. If I probe that 5-volt rail there, yeah, it looks alright. It's not looking too noisy or anything like that, so a little bit of a loss to what's going on. What's this part here doing? Can't see that. There's a voltage on there. What's that? That is 3 point, that's about 4 volts or so. No, it's 2 point something volts. One volt. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this. It's there's nothing obvious, and to be honest, I mean, I was planning on replacing the system anyway. There's just not much going on here. I can't feel any warmth. No, actually, maybe I can feel something. No, I can't really get much. I'm just feeling a slight bit of warmth somewhere. I think it's this heatsink just here. The cap's starting to seem to be getting warm. Yeah, basically there's nothing happening. That's stone cold. This is just not working. It's dead. Okay, so let's try a different approach, shall we? Let's look around for some fuses. Maybe the supplies are running, but there's a fuse which is off the supply which isn't working. See if we can find anything. Right, can you see anything? I'm trying to see anything, but lots of really small parts. No, TVS 12, TVS 13, what are they? Don't know what they are. A couple of PTC locations just there, which are jumpered. So the PTC is obviously running because there's power getting through to it, so I'm not worried about the PTC. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything. Don't see any fuses on that side. Let's have a look here. Got the thing upside down now, so up this end maybe. Well, can't see any fuses. Well, I thought there would be some. Could just be with my scanning across the board, I'm not seeing them, but it couldn't be a reset issue on one of the chips. I don't know. It could be a reset circuitry problem. Here's a transistor just here. But I'm not going to go digging through that much detail. I'm just trying to figure out those things. It's I think it's pretty dead. I was hoping to find some kind of simple issue like a dead power supply or something like that, but I don't appear to have been that lucky. Don't see any fuses anywhere. There's another crystal there. That's marked X3. It's an oscillator circuit. I should check that too. Just in case. Right. Let's get the probe and plug power in. That was always helpful as well. Check that oscillator, see if there's anything on that. So I've got some voltage on that. There's a signal there. Can't see what it is, but there's a signal. Let's have a look. That says 54 megahertz right there. Just check the other pins. Nothing on that one, it's probably ground. Now on there is voltage 3.3 volts. So I think that the 54 megahertz is correct. Oh dear, that's another option gone. Trying to see if I can read the markings on it. It's like just the part number on it, that's it. But yeah, I don't know, I think it's dead, which is a shame. I've got no cause of failure. There's nothing that I know of which has caused it to go. It was working yesterday and today it's not. And there's been no power surges in that time. At least not to my knowledge. So it's a bit of a mystery at the moment. So, oh well, I guess I'm going to have to upgrade to my IP camera system sooner rather than later. Because now I don't have this system here.